everybody, it's Amy with amyrich.net. I have in front of me pieces from September's paper pumpkin kit from Stampin' Up! Called With Love and Gratitude. And I have a lot of the supplies here ready to go to create my alternate project. I'm going to start with one of the envelopes of the little mini cards. So I'm going to open this up because we're going to cut that apart. It's too pretty on the inside to just leave as an envelope, especially since I'm also going to use one of the cards. So I will use a little of each there. And then, not to be outdone, I had to bring in one of the boxes, and I'm going to take that apart as well. So there is a seam, so find that seam, and then we're just going to take that apart. If I rip that, it's no big deal because I'm not going to use that section. And if you can, if you can save it, great. But like I said, it's not critical in the design of this particular project, but there's plenty of other goodness to use here. So we're going to use those three pieces. We're going to use a few of the die cuts. And then we're going to use a sentiment, Grateful for You, from the stamp set. And then the little mini Stampin' Spot. So let's get started by doing some trimming. Grabbing my paper trimmer here, we're going to start by putting in the box. And I'm going to start by just cutting off that ugly piece that I said you don't really need, just to get rid of that and out of the way. I'm not even going to try to salvage anything from there. It's fine. And then the second thing I'm going to do is cut off all of the bottom flaps. So I'm just going to kind of line up the score line that creates those flaps and cut those right off. You can save those. There's some good pieces that you could use for other things if you would like. And then I'm going to put this in at 3 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to turn it and cut it at 3 7/8 of an inch again. It doesn't matter what direction. I don't know why I just swung it around and did a 180, but I did. So there you go. So here we have a square that's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So remember, if you're not using the paper pumpkin kit to create this card, it's still a great card. You can use lots of other supplies to create it, so don't worry about that part. Then we're going to bring in our envelope. First thing we're going to do is cut off that bottom edge. So I'm just going to kind of line up that bottom edge in my groove, paper groove, trimmer groove, and just cut that bottom one off. And that's really no good for anything either, so I'm going to throw that away. And then let's see, next I'm going to turn it this way, line this edge up at 4 inches. And then I am going to trim again. So I cut this off. Up to you if you want to save that or not. I'd probably, for me, it's probably not worth much. And then we're going to cut off one of the side flaps. And then what we really need here is 1 inch. So 1 inch by 4 inch is what we were going after through that whole process. So if you're not using the paper pumpkin kit and you didn't cut that apart, 1 by 4 is what you need here. So we have 3 7/8, 1 by 4, and then we're going to bring in our card and cut that at 3 1/2, which, by the way, happens to be the size of the card when it's folded. So really you just need to cut it once to get it 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and then we're going to turn it on the diagonal and cut it on the diagonal so we have 2 triangles. Okay, I think we are ready, so I'm going to put that away. And we have a few extra supplies that I'm going to use here. And the first one is a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 crumb cake cardstock that has been scored in half at 5 1/2, and then again 4 1/4 inches from this edge. So 4 1/4 and 5 1/2 are our score lines, and we're going to turn it into a book fold. So this score line now is going to be folded back so that you've got that book fold, and here's your binding. And then we're going to open that up and put adhesive here so that we can close that and have that stay in place to create our real book fold here. Then we are going to take that square that we cut out of the box, and then we're going to bring in a 4x4 square of gold foil paper. Now, the gold foil was a 4x4 square, but how do you waste inside the whole thing when you're only going to cover most of that up? So I needed this for another project, my little pierced circle here from the Stylish Shapes dies. So I just cut that out of the center because we're not going to be able to see that hole anyway. So I'm going to put adhesive all the way around, just on the outside, and then I'm going to adhere that onto my gold foil square. So the 3 7/8 inch square goes onto the 4-inch foil square, and it fits perfectly with that nice little border. And then we're going to add that. Now we're going to cover up that hole in the center by simply adding it to our card here. Perfect way to prevent a little more waste of that beautiful gold foil. Then this piece of 1x4 that we cut from the envelope, we're just going to attach to the binding of the book fold here. And then we're going to decorate this section. So taking one of the foil leafy pieces from the kit, we're just going to add a little bit of liquid glue because we don't want it to go anywhere. We're going to add that here. A little to the left and up from center. So just like that. And then we'll bring our leaves in and we'll add that. Now all of these, oh, I need a new one. Okay, all these pieces that we are going to add here are going to essentially be flat, at least these first 3. Now we're going to add our little pumpkin. So all of these pieces come from the kit. But again, if you're not using the kit, you can certainly come up with some amazing things to decorate the front of your card with, I'm sure. Then we're going to take our label and our Lost Lagoon pad, and I'm thankful or grateful for you is what this says. Grateful for you. We're going to ink that up with our Lost Lagoon ink and stamp that right in the center. And then I'm going to take a piece of linen thread and we're just going to wrap it around my fingers about 3 times. And I would like to add some adhesive here across my card. Turn that into a figure 8 and lay it over that. Now, some people like to make these loops on the back of what's being attached. I choose to do it the opposite way just because. Just because that's what I prefer. So I can offset, you know, I can play around with these strings and make them look the way I want to. And then I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals to add my sentiment over the top of those loops of linen thread. And that finishes off the front really well. Now, what I notice here is that I've got a little adhesive sticking out. Just take your finger with the Stampin' Seal. You can just rub that right off. I love Stampin' Seal for so many reasons. And honestly, that's one of them. But isn't that pretty? Just the outside of the card. But now we're going to decorate the inside too. Now the inside, we're going to take a piece of 8x8 basic white cardstock. I've scored it in half at 4 inches. And then I've scored it in half the other direction at 4 inches. And then I don't know if you can tell, but I've also scored it on the diagonal. What I'm going to do is cut one of those pieces out. And I'm going to cut right on the score lines to cut one of those corners out completely. And you can use your paper trimmer to do this if you're concerned you're not going to get it cut straight enough with the snips. But see how that piece is cut right out? Now let me show you. I'm going to fold that diagonal line the opposite way. And then we're going to open it back up again. And and we're going to adhere our triangles into place right in here, and they're going to layer really well. Now, my suggestion is if you're going to write something or decorate the inside a little bit more, you will want to decorate it possibly now. Keeping in mind, actually, the fold line has to go up here. I goofed that part up. I'll just flip the folds. All right, so it's got to fold up, and it's going to create a diorama. So what we have here when you're decorating this is you're going to want to make sure this is right side up and this is right side up, because that's how it's going to be in your card. So let me bring that over. I'm going to fold this up with the raw edges to the top, and we're going to add some adhesive right here. And when we open our card, now I still want those raw edges at the top. Now we're going to put that into place here. And then when we open this up, you can see that little diorama pop into place. Now to do the other side, I'm actually going to go to liquid glue here, because when I go here to close it, I'm not just going to close that side because I want to make sure the border is good to go. So I'm going to check out my border here and make sure it's good. That's why I use liquid glue, because I can scooch it into place a little bit better. Once I know I like it, then we'll close it. And if you need to refold a little bit, you know, like if it doesn't leave that perfect border, but you put it on there and you close it and it's a little bit tough, go ahead and force it then and make new fold lines so that it looks nice on the inside. But you can see here now you've got your little diorama. You could add decorations and writing and so forth. And that's why I suggest that you do that before you put the card fully together, because it's really hard to get in here and do your writing and such when it's already put together. And now, of course, we've got to add some bling. The annual catalog has these great pastel adhesive back sequins, which includes some gold ones as well. So we're going to add a few of the sequins, which will just finish off this card really, really nicely. Isn't it great? I love this month's Paper Pumpkin kit so much. I can tell Shelly Gardner had a hand in designing it, because I love the soft color, and the little pop of gold is just totally her, I think. And I loved creating this alternate project for you that is sure to make eyes pop when it's opened. And I always thought too, it would be fun to put a picture in here or something else that would be easily and nicely displayed on a table or a mantle. I think it's super fun when you can make a card that is useful later on as well. So thank you for joining me. In a couple of weeks, I will be sharing my 12 projects of Christmas 2023. So make sure to subscribe to my videos so that you can get my video tutorials immediately when they are posted. And I can't wait to share those with you for this Christmas's projects. It's going to be an amazing year for our 12 projects of Christmas. So I will see you very soon. Thank you so much for joining me.